Welcome to Ashgrove Cement Company in Midlothian, Texas, a CRH company. At this location, we manufacture Portland cement. It is important for you to know and follow our safety rules and those of the Mine Safety Health Administration, better known as MSHA. All our contractors, vendors, and visitors who fail to comply with our rules or MSHA regulations are subject to removal from the property. Vendors and visitors must report to the main office lobby. Basic PPE such as hard hats, gloves, steel-toed shoes, safety glasses with side shields, and Class 3 high-visibility clothing is required. Mobile equipment, including pickups, must have a beacon light. Contractors must sign in and out each day at the contractor logbook located in the maintenance shop. Nobody is to be on site without your Ashgrove representative approval. Everyone coming onto site must receive site-specific hazard awareness training. This training will be updated as changes occur, but no less than yearly. Any new, replacement, or crew members being added must receive site-specific hazard awareness training before entering the plant area. Your company must have an MSHA training plan, and everyone working for them must be trained, which includes new miner and annual refresher. Your company is responsible for your training and must include task training on the specific job and equipment you will be operating. Contractor vehicles will be inspected and a parking permit issued before they are allowed in the plant area. Our inspection is to find hazards before they enter the workplace. Our inspection does not take away from your responsibility to ensure your vehicle and equipment meets Ashgrove, MSHA, and Department of Transportation regulations. Our inspection is specific and limited to hazards that are most commonly cited by MSHA and should not be considered as a complete inspection of your vehicle or equipment. Mobile equipment must be inspected before use. Safety defects found must be noted and the equipment removed from service. Anytime you park the vehicle, you must place the vehicle in park or neutral, depending on the equipment. Lower all attachments, including the outriggers on a SkyTrack. Set the parking brake and wheel chocks. Since our mobile equipment checks out, let's take a drive out to the quarry where our process for making cement begins. Passengers are never allowed to ride on the tailgate or in beds of trucks. They must ride in a passenger seat and wear a seatbelt. Be sure to fasten your seatbelt and sound your horn before moving equipment. Our plant speed limit is 13 miles per hour and the quarry is 29 miles per hour. Conditions such as wet roads will require you to slow down. Before entering the quarry, make sure you contact the quarry by radio on Channel 5. If you are unable to contact the quarry, do not enter the area. Contact with quarry personnel must be made and permission granted before entering. Stay to the north side of the belt. It is two-way traffic on this side and it keeps you separated from haul traffic. When entering from Giffco Road, check in at the quarry office. Make sure you travel in a counterclockwise direction. Notify the quarry by radio or honking your horn. Quarry equipment has the right-of-way, followed by over-the-road trucks. Stay at least 2 semi-trailer lengths away from a truck with a raised bed. Our rock is mined utilizing a dozer to rip up material and push it to the bottom of the slope. Gathered material is loaded into a roll pick crusher using a loader. Earth-moving equipment is large and contains many blind spots. Signal the operator and wait for their signal before approaching. Wait for the vehicle to come to a complete stop and all attachments are lowered. Approach from the left side, driver's side. Park vehicles on the left or driver's side and no less than 20 feet away. Never park in front or behind quarry equipment. Material from the quarry is conveyed along a belt line into the plant. Belts here and in other places will start automatically. An alarm will sound to warn you prior to the belt starting. A lot of material is conveyed overhead, and even though steps have been taken to limit incidents, material may occasionally fall. If you are working overhead, take precautions to keep workers safe below you. Tethering tools and putting up barrier tape are just a couple of steps you can take to keep others safe. To exit the quarry, continue to stay on the south side of the belt. Drive in a counterclockwise direction and follow the signs. Material from the quarry is mixed with other raw materials, such as sand and shale. Stockpiles found in the quarry and in the plant present hazards. Materials may slough off and entrap workers that are too close. Never put yourself between a stockpile and another object, like mobile equipment. Midlothian is a semi-wet process, which means at this stage, our raw mix contains water. Material is mixed and ground up in these ball mills before being pumped to the slurry tanks. The mills generate a lot of noise, and proper hearing protection must be worn in a high-noise area such as this. Slurry in the tanks is agitated and mixed before being pumped to the dryer crusher. The dryer crusher is a unique piece of machinery that does the final grind and drying of the material before it is sent all the way up the tower. Before we go up the tower, we need to have a radio and contact the console operator. Let them know where you intend to go and ask if the kiln is stable. Once you have completed your work on the tower, you need to let the console operator know you are off the tower. Levels on the tower and other high places can be windy and blow your hard hat off. Use a tethering device to keep your hard hat secured. At the top of the tower, the material starts to be heated. Surfaces in this area of the plant can be very hot. If you are working near these hot surfaces or opening ports, you must have flame-resistant clothing on. Other PPE may be required that is specific to the work you will be doing, such as welding and cutting. While on top of the tower, you will notice that we use aqueous ammonia to help control emissions. If you smell ammonia, move upwind and alert the plant. Another product you will find is activated carbon. Activated carbon is very fine and can stain you and your clothing. If you are working near or on either of these products, you must contact your plant representative for additional PPE and job requirements to take. Making clinker requires enormous amounts of heat. Piles or material in walkways may be hot or contain hidden hazards. You should never step in a pile. As you begin work in the plant or quarry area, you must follow MSHA regulations for conducting a workplace exam. MSHA requires that before you begin work, or as it is beginning, that a competent person do a workplace exam. You must identify hazards and correct all of them found so you can work safely. Any items you cannot correct must be recorded on your workplace exam and reported to Ashgrove and other contractors in the area. You must take steps to prevent others from coming in contact with the hazard. The use of yellow barrier tape and tag will warn others of the hazard, but allow them to pass through the area. Use red barrier tape and tag to warn others to avoid the area, or a physical barricade to ensure people cannot access the area where the hazard exists. Make sure your tag is posted on at least 2 approaches and contains the hazard along with the corrective action. Please include your name and phone number so we can contact you with any questions. On the tower and in many other locations, you will find areas marked as a confined space. An entry evaluation must be made, which includes identifying the hazards inherent, adjacent, and introduced by you or others as part of the work. Confined space work requires additional procedures that your Ashgrove contact can help with. Never begin work in a confined space without your Ashgrove representative's knowledge of your work. Cement is a fine powder and can act like a liquid which can easily flow and entrap people. Cement dust may become airborne and make it difficult to breathe. Use of a dust mask is highly recommended. Our system uses another unique piece of equipment. The hot disc reactor burns tires. The system is automated and runs with little interaction of workers. Lights along the conveyor system warn others that the system is activated, and the conveyors will start and stop automatically. The system works to provide a continuous and steady supply of tires to the hot disc. Hot material may escape from ports or openings during a plug. If the tower does plug, an alarm will sound to alert you. Listen to your radio for the proper procedures, such as getting off the tower. If hot material is falling on you, going up a level or to the outer handrail may be safer than going to lower levels. Once the material has left the tower, it enters the back of the kiln. Heating of the product can exceed 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The material is now called clinker and exits the kiln into a cooler before being conveyed into silos or other storage areas. This clinker can remain hot for days. Clinker, cement kiln dust, and cement all contain alkalis. You must wear PPE that prevents contact with these materials while working at Ashgrove. If you do get any of these materials on you, wash the affected area with copious amounts of soap and water. Alkali may burn the skin and cause anywhere from mild irritation to blisters and tissue destruction. When working where dust can get in your eyes, then you must wear additional PPE like goggles or a full face respirator. If dust enters your eyes, flush them with copious amounts of water at one of our eye wash stations throughout the plant. If you are bringing chemicals on the property, you must bring an MSDS/SDS and notify your Ashgrove representative. We want to ensure the chemicals are compatible with our process and environmental standards. Clinker is now brought back into the mill room for a final grind to produce cement before being sent to the silos for shipping. Some general requirements that you need to be aware of. MSHA requires the cords, such as extension cords, be ground checked. You must never run over a cord. Never run a cord through a door, window, or unbushed opening. Try to run cords overhead to eliminate tripping hazards. Use caution tape to warn others if the cord is creating a hazard. Although MSHA requires the use of fall protection anytime there is a fall hazard, Ashgrove has additional requirements, including the use of fall protection when working above 4 feet. A working at heights permit system is used, which includes someone inspecting the equipment, worker, and proper use of all components and procedures. A working at heights permit and fall protection are used whenever a hazardous opening is created. Hazardous openings include the removal or opening of handrails and floor grading. This procedure is very strict and must be adhered to without deviation. The opening must be closed when nobody is working at the opening, such as leaving to get parts, going on break, or leaving at the end of the day. Signs will be placed at the entrance to the opening that warn of the hazard and require the use of fall protection. As with most Ashgrove policies, any deviation or failure to follow the policies will result in you being removed from the property permanently. A working at heights permit and fall protection are also required when working from aerial lifts, such as scissor lifts and man lifts. Ashgrove does not allow the use of forklift platforms on our site. Use the correct fall protection when using these types of lifts. A lanyard may allow you to fall out of the basket. A retractable lanyard, or SRL, has greater chance of keeping you in the basket should something happen. Tie off to the correct anchor point on the equipment. Your task training on the equipment must include the steps for operating the emergency ground controls in case of emergency procedures. Electrical power is all around you. Do not enter electrical enclosures unless you are under the direct authority of Ashgrove. Working around or near power lines must include a risk assessment to determine the correct distance for the voltage. Never work any closer than 10 feet, regardless of the voltage. The use of tools around overhead power lines must be considered as part of your distance calculations. Not all power sources are electrical. Identify, lock, and block all forms of energy. Locks must contain your name and phone number. Once the equipment has been shut down, an Ashgrove representative will verify the equipment is shut down. Isolate the energy sources, place a company lock on the equipment, and try to start it. Once it is verified the equipment is locked out, you will be able to place your lock on the equipment. Crane use requires a lift permit to be filled out. We also require a copy of the crane operator's certification. Cranes and overhead hoist must be inspected before use. This includes that you inspect the anti-two-block system to ensure it is functioning. Any equipment not functioning correctly must be tagged out of service. Additional permits that may be required are hot work and electrical hot work. Areas around the plant are posted with no smoking or open flame. These are areas that contain combustible hazards. Welding, cutting, or generating sparks in these areas require a hot work permit. Smoking is never permitted in these areas and should only be done outside of buildings and away from doors. It is best practice to survey the area after hot work is complete to look for hot spots by using a thermal imaging camera. This does not take the place of the spotter that is required. Coal handling areas contain fine particles of dust. The coal tower uses nitrogen instead of compressed air. Carbon dioxide liquid and gas are used to inert the baghouse, screws, and coal hoppers. If the system detects a possible fire, the fire alarm will sound and activate the suppression system. Vents on the baghouse, ductwork, and coal hoppers may open unexpectedly. Get off the coal tower immediately and contact your Ashgrove representative to inform them that you are safe, your location, and what occurred. Additional steps will be required before beginning work in these areas. Contact your Ashgrove representative for more information. Electrical hot work permits are required when electricity cannot be shut down to perform the work. Work may include diagnostic tests or repair of live components. Only trained electricians wearing the proper PPE will perform this work. Only those that have been trained to install scaffolding will do so. Scaffolds may be used only after they have been inspected by a competent person. Scaffolding will have a card that informs the user of the last inspection, any defects and precautions to take. Work on a scaffold will require the use of fall protection. The scaffold flooring must be kept neat and orderly, just like any other walk or working surface. Do not use scaffolds with a red tag until the unsafe condition is corrected. Before digging or trenching, we want to ensure that all underground utilities have been located. All trenching and excavations must have proper shoring. Alcohol and illegal drugs are not permitted to be used or brought on the property. Fighting, weapons, and horseplay are not allowed. Any of these violations will result with the immediate dismissal from our site. In case of fire, we will rally in the employee parking lot. In case of tornado, we will take shelter in a designated location. Plant fire suppression systems are not to be turned off without the permission of the plant health and safety manager. If you have an injury, illness, or accident, you must report the injury immediately. The first aid station is in the lab, which includes an AED. MSHA requires that someone on each shift must be trained in first aid. It is your responsibility to have someone trained. If an injury or accident occurs that meets the requirements of MSHA's immediate notification, you must call and report the incident. Immediately after reporting the incident to MSHA, you must notify Ashgrove. If you need EMS, police, or fire, call the console and notify them. The console operator will call 911 and direct people to get the emergency responders to your location. Venomous reptiles and poisonous insects and plants may be present in the plant. Coral, copperhead, and rattlesnakes have been found in the plant. Flying insects that sting or bite can also be found here in the plant. You should be cautious when reaching into or under places where you cannot see. Some of these hazards blend in with their surroundings and offer little warning before biting, stinging, or striking. You may occasionally find a work area that has limited natural or artificial light. The use of work, drop, or flashlights is required in these areas. Make sure that bulbs are guarded to protect you and others from broken glass, hot bulbs, or exposed elements. In accordance with ISO 14001, Ashgrove's policy is to operate in compliance with environmental laws and regulations, minimize pollutions and creation of waste, and to retain vendors and contractors committed to responsible environmental management. Contractors must comply with all applicable federal, state, and local environmental laws and regulations. You must consult with an Ashgrove representative to aid in identifying potential environmental impacts associated with your work activities. Ashgrove retains vendors and contractors to ensure environmental compliance. It is everyone's responsibility to aid in controlling fugitive dust, minimize, and manage both hazardous and universal waste. Be familiar with Ashgrove's Spill Prevention and Control Program. Contractors are required to clean all work areas before leaving the property. Your assigned Ashgrove representative will check your work area for cleanliness before you are dismissed from our site. In summary, there are many potential hazards in our cement plant and quarry. We expect you to work safely at all times and to contact your Ashgrove representative with any questions or issues you have. Thank you for following Ashgrove's rules and regulations. We expect that your time here is both enjoyable and safe.